ממנה גם קצת לספר על החוק ומה המטרה, ואחר כך אנחנו גם נמשיך עם ההרצאה, אז תודה רבה.
אז בוקר טוב, welcome ראול and his friend.
עמית עם תמרה.
אוקיי, עמית ותמרה, בוקר טוב. And welcome to Israel. Israel, it's a lot of animals in the street and we can do something for them. צריך לומר שיש לי כלבה בבית. אני לא מאלה שמאוד אוהבים את החיות, לא גדלתי בבית שיש חיות, אבל הילדים הכרחו אותי להכניס הביתה כלבה, והיא כבר 15 שנה אצלי בבית, ואני יודעת כמה צריך לדאוג לכלבים. הכלבה שלי זה כלבת לברדור שהיא נשארה גבוהה, וכל פעם שהדלת פתוחה היא ישר החוצה. וכמה וכמה פעמים הגעתי לכלבייה בהרצליה, ראיתי את התנאים של הכלבייה, וממש נחרדתי. צריך לומר שפעם אחת חיפשנו לו את הכלבה ובגלל שלא היה לה שבב, אז ישר לא קיבלנו את הפרטים, הם לא מצאו את השבב. היה לה שבב אבל לא מצאו אותו, והיא הייתה איזה 3 ימים בכלבייה, עד שהצלחתי בכל האזור, עשינו סיבובים בכל האזור כדי למצוא אותה, עד שבסוף גילינו שזאת היא. ומאז בעצם הבנתי כמה החיים של הכלבים ברגע שהם מתפסים הם קשים בתוך הכלבייה. וכשבאו אליי נציגים של תנו לחיות לחיות, ואמרו לי, תשמעי, יש כאן חוק שבעצם יעשה כמו שעושים עם החתולים, ואני גם הכרתי בתנו לחיות לחיות וראיתי איך זה נעשה עם החתולים, ואמרתי, זה הדבר באמת שצריך לעשות, כי גילינו שיש קרוב ל-60,000 כלבים שנתפסים כל שנה, ומתוך 6 כלבים שנתפסים רק אחד מאומץ, השאר הולכים, פשוט, אני קוראת לזה לטבע, לא חושבים פעמיים וישר הורגים אותם. אני אמרתי לעצמי, אני באה מבית דתי עם הרבה רגשות הומניים, ולא יכול להיות, כי בתורה אתה קודם כל, לפני שאתה קם בבוקר, אתה צריך לדאוג לבעל חי שלך, או לפני שאתה עושה משהו. ולא ייתכן שאנחנו יהודים פשוט נשלח את הכלבים הוצאה להורג, ככה אני רואה את זה. ולכן עמדתי באמת להעביר את החוק הזה, לקח שנה בערך, ובשלבים של הישיבות בתוך הכנסת, באו חותם, זה פשוט חותם, זה עמותה שבאה ורוצה שאנחנו נתנהג בפי היהדות, והם אמרו לי, לא, החוק הזה לא יכול לעבור, וגם הייתה התנגדות של השר. הייתה התנגדות של השר שאסור לעקר ולסרס. שאנחנו פוגעים בהם במערכת הרבייה, וזה לא יכול להיות. אמרתי להם, תראו, אני חושבת שלעקר אותם ולסרס אותם, גם זאת פגיעה. זה פגיעה בגוף שלהם. אבל יותר גרוע מזה שלוקחים להם את החיים. ואני רואה את זה במצב הזה, וגם הסברתי לשר שזה לא יכול להיות. אמרו לי שיש גם עיקור וסירוס בצורה שהיא פחות פולשנית, ואפשר לתת להם כדור, אבל אז צריך להחזיר אותם כל חצי שנה. אני יודעת שהנושא הזה של הכדור הזה שאפשר לתת להם נגד הרבייה, הולכים לעשות את זה עם החזיריות, עם החזירים. אז אמרתי, אם זה יהיה ככה, אז פשוט צריך לתקן את החוק שגם כלפי הכלבים, ברגע שתהיה את הקפסולה המתאימה שתמנע את הרבייה שלהם, ואז באמת לא צריכה להיות בעיה. ורק צריך באמת לאסוף אותם ולסמן את מי שקיבל ואת מי שלא. נכון שזה יהיה קצת יותר עבודה, כי זה יהיה מחזוריות, לחזור פעם אחרי פעם, אבל יכול להיות שגם זה יכולה להיות תשובה. מה שכן, החוק הזה היה, הריגת הכלבים צרכה 30.4 מיליון שקל מקופת המדינה, ועכשיו אם החוק הזה ייכנס לתוקפו, מה שיקרה, ש4.5 מיליון שקל ילכו רק לעיקור וסירוס, וכנראה שנצטרך עוד סכום מסוים כדי או להחזיק אותם, או לגרום לזה שהם יאומצו. אז מחכה לכם הרבה עבודה, כי כל מי שנמצא בעניין של תנו לחיות עושים באמת עבודה מבורכת ונהדרת, ואני חושבת שכמה שאנחנו נכניס יותר כלבים, יכול להיות שגם את הכלבים המשוטטים, אני ראיתי פרויקט של אילוף כלבים לעזור לילדים אוטיסטים, פרויקט מדהים, או אלה שחולים בניוון שרירים, אני ראיתי איך הכלב מאמנים אותו, לשים לילד את הגרביים, להביא לו את הנעליים, לפתוח לו את המקרר, מדהים, באמת מדהים, וזה עוזר מאוד עכשיו את הדברים האלה. הדבר העתידי, אני רוצה לנסות ולשפץ, להביא סכום בשביל שיפוץ של הכלביות העירוניות, כי אני חושבת שזה מאוד חשוב. הדבר הזה משפיע על הכלבים לאורך זמן, לפחות במקרה שלי, לקח לה חודש עד שהיא יצאה מההלם שהיא הייתה בו. אז שיהיה יום מוצלח, ותודה רבה.
אולי חשוב רק להדגיש שה4.5 מיליון האלה זה כל שנה.
כן, זה נכנס לבסיס התקציב.
בדיוק, זה נכנס לתקציב קבוע.
זה נכנס לבסיס התקציב באופן קבוע, זה הדבר הראשון ששאלתי, שזה ייכנס. זה בעצם כמו החתולים, ככה שזה חשוב ביותר, בגלל זה גם אמרתי שיכול להיות שאם אנחנו נעשה בסוף בלי עיכוב וסירוס לא פולשני, יכול להיות שיהיה איזה סוג של כדור שהוא גם יעשה את העבודה, גם זה יכול להיות. אוקיי, תודה רבה.
תודה. אוקיי, ראול, go ahead.
Okay. Morning. Good morning, everyone. So I met most of you last night, and this is not a lecture. I don't want it to be a lecture because you're all friends of animals, right? I've been told by Yael that this discussion today morning does not have to be a one-way process. I don't want to preach to the choir. I think the best outcome of our discussion today would be I'm going to tell you lots of activities that HSI has been doing in different parts of the world. Some of you, like you, have worked actually in India, and I'd love for you to share your experience while I speak on the fact that we do actually conduct spay and neuter on street dogs and put them back, and they're happy. They are not wild, they don't bite people, they don't make packs and chase people and kill them. Before I start, I just want to give you a very, very short introduction of who HSI is, what HSI does, and then after the video, I will tell you how I met Yael and her group and why are we in Israel, and then maybe we will set the agenda for what we should be able to achieve today, and I'll try and focus my talk on solutions rather than talking about the problems. There are enough problems everywhere in the world. We travel, we see a lot of cruelty, a lot of inhumane activities to control what is perceived as a problem, but we want to talk about solutions. We want to be optimistic. We want to be able to try and give you lots of options that you can pick and choose from and fit to what you think your problem is. So just to tell you what HSI is, it's one of our year-end videos. We are not here to seek money from you, but this will just give you a good idea of what HSI does, okay? So this is essentially for the donors. We send them as a thank you note at the end of every year. When the typhoon hit, we were quick to respond and remain on the ground. While this stays fresh in our minds, let's not forget 2013 saw some amazing victories for animals.
Here in our helicopter, the Protect SEAL team are gathering evidence we are sending out to the world.
Street dogs is one of the single largest animal welfare issues we are this close to a solution on watering birds.
India is one of the largest shark catching nations in the world. We've got the government of India now to enact a fins attached policy. It's going to reduce the number of animals who are going to be caught and finned alive.
This is an absolute hellhole. Birds jammed in a cage is filthy.
India is the third largest producer of egg in the world. The Animal Welfare Board of India advised state governments to phase out battery cages by 2017.
We're working on a very brutal industry called the dog meat trade, which is taking place in many Asian countries.
Okay, so HSI is a global organization. We are based out of the United States of America, but we work almost in every part of the world. And our issues range from dogs to cats to cows to hens to dolphins, whales, sharks, fur, seal. You think of it, we are the only agency which has a separate department dedicated to finding solutions on helping animals and making life easier and better for them. We've had some massive, massive victories. We don't start our work based on the fact, of course, all of us love animals, which is why what we do. But when we have to bring a systemic change in a culture in which certain policies are considered as acceptable, for example, to control dog population, certain countries feel that culling is the only way to go through. We can't go and strike a conversation with these governments simply by shedding a few tears and picking up a few puppies and saying that we should all love animals and we should be scared of God. We have to provide scientific reasoning for why culling does not work. We have to provide a list of examples of regions which used to cull animals, and because it was not working, they shifted their focus from culling to something else. Which is why I have my colleagues here, Amit and Tamara, who would not be looking at us, who are looking at their laptops, because they are here to create a baseline data set with which we can negotiate in a much better way with the Israeli authorities in trying to find solutions. But it's impossible to give you solutions till we don't know what your problem is, how big your problem is, what is the nature of your problem. In my discussion so far, I'm very confused. I've been here for 3 days. I've been talking to a lot of people, and I have got very, very mixed it's a very mixed opinion of what really is the problem is. One school of thought says there is no problem. I would agree there is absolutely no problem. I've walked the streets of Tel Aviv past 3 days. Trust me, it's like Manhattan. You know, people love their dogs. These dogs are all breeds. People are picking up the poop after the dogs. There are parks for dogs. The dogs are being registered. The spayed dogs have less registration fee. The non-spayed dogs. It's beautiful. The cats, unbelievable. And I think the credit goes to this gentleman sitting here. I've been told that he is responsible for creating this extremely compassionate and animal-friendly atmosphere here in Tel Aviv. So yeah, great. I mean, you already have an example that should be emulated. But again, the dynamics are different. Every country is different. You come to India, you come to Delhi, and you go to the Diplomatic Avenue, you'd think you're in Washington, D.C. But you go 2 kilometers outside, you'll see shanties, you'll see people from all different places. Poverty, no water, lots of dogs, cows, maybe elephants, camels, pigs, rats, cats, everything. And just in about 5 miles, you see a different country. In Israel, maybe I've been told, the problem is around certain areas where there are people of different communities with a different economic background, and that's where the real stray dog problem is, and the focus on those stray dogs has so far been catching those dogs and retaining them at a shelter and then putting them to sleep because there's nobody to take those dogs back. And this has been going on year after year after year, and nothing is improving. If this was going to work, then the dog should have finished by now, and you should have shifted your focus to something else. The third school of thought tells me that the real problem is wild dogs, or maybe crossbreed with jackals or fox or some kind of wild dogs that live on the periphery of cities and come to the cities in the night in search of food. So I'm still trying to figure out what the problem is, and this is where our team is going to carry out a nationwide dog population survey, which starts from tomorrow. Let the Animals Live has very efficiently created a group of volunteers that we are going to work with. So this is what we hope to have over the next 5 days. We will produce a document which will probably tell you how many dogs are there in Israel? Number one, what kind of dogs are in Israel? How many pets that live in the house? How many dogs that are left to roam on the street? How many dogs which are truly feral or are wild dogs and have no owners? How many males, how many females, how many puppies? What is the body score condition of these dogs? Are they healthy? Are they sick? How many dogs are injured? You know, injury in animals sometimes talks about how people deal with these dogs. Are people tolerant of these dogs? People don't like these dogs, so they're hitting the dogs, they're throwing stone. In India, in a city up in the north, which is mostly Muslim, called Srinagar, it's in the disputed territory of Jammu and Kashmir. When we went and we did a survey, we found almost 40% of the dogs had broken front legs. Yeah. And we wanted to find out why is it so evident. And that's when we found out that people in that city are so intolerant of dogs that they actually use baseball bats. Even if the dog is sleeping, I have videos which I don't want to show you, that if the dog is sleeping peacefully, these people would sneak up, hit the dog, break its leg. 40% of the dogs in that city have broken legs. But how many dogs are in that city? So many that it's almost an epidemic now, because they consume meat products, breakfast, lunch and dinner, and they have zero garbage management. So all the offals from the slaughterhouses are in the streets. And these dogs have enough food to eat and breed and survive. So the dynamics are based on science. Let's start with defining what your real problem is. So correct me if I'm wrong, Yael. Your real problem is the dogs that should not be culled are being culled. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So we don't say that the dogs should be culled, should not be culled. We leave it in a disclaimer that we don't come to teach anyone. I am not a teacher. A lot of you are more experienced than me, more educated than me, older than me, of course. You've seen a lot of things, and you are experts of your own country. I'm nobody to come and tell you what you should do, neither is HSI. But what we bring is we bring experiences from the world. You might not know what other countries are doing who are dealing with the same problem and what might be working for them. So we are here only to share, and you can completely be disbelievers. You can be dismissive. You can all have a nice laugh later on. You know, these people came all the way and we appreciate them coming to our country and they spoke about things, but this is not what will work in Israel. Trust me, I have been dismissed at least 5 or 6 times before. The 7th time when I go back to talk to the same person, 7th year, they agree that yes, we wish what you said in the first year, we had believed what you said. The real example is Mauritius. Mauritius is a developed country. It's in Africa, but it is mostly white. It was colonized first by the French, then by the Dutch, and then by the British till they got their independence. It's a tourist haven. I was in Mauritius exactly 72 hours ago. So this is my 3rd country on my current trip. And I first went to Mauritius in 2013. So the story of Mauritius is very interesting. Mauritius depends on its tourism and its sugarcane for its entire GDP. It's an island right next to Madagascar and off South Africa, Cape Town, about 2 hours flight in the Indian Ocean. And it is one of the most favorite destinations for Europeans, England, of course, and it's one of the most popular honeymoon destinations with pristine blue beaches and these 10-star luxury beach resorts which offer everything, villa in the middle of the sea, lots of good marine life. The problem was that these hotels, which are all set up by Westerners, don't want dogs on their beaches. And in the evening, when a very rich honeymooning couple is having their barbecue on the beach, there are these 5 dogs sitting begging for food. Or they are barking and there are cats. And across the streets of Mauritius, when there are luxury resorts where you don't see poverty and you don't see the real people, about 5 kilometers away is this huge shanty town where all the locals live, and they love their dogs, and they have their dogs because that's where the dogs come from onto the beach. So they want to present a picture of the country which is not taking into consideration of the entire demographic situation. So what happens is, in 2013, when I went there, they wanted a solution that we don't want to see dogs on our beaches, we don't want to see dogs on our streets, we don't want to see dogs in our gardens. And I said, so you don't want to see these animals, how long is it that you don't want to see them? They said, we don't want to see them forever. For the last 50 years, we've always not wanted them around. And I asked them, what have you been doing? Oh, we've been catching them and culling them. And we asked them for their statistics. So how many dogs do you catch and how many dogs you're killing? So they gave us certain figures, and they were increasing their culling numbers year by year. And we asked, so your problem, is it being solved? Because if you think catching and culling is the answer, is the solution actually helping you? And they said, no, the more we kill, the more the complaints we get. Mauritius is rabies-free, so there's no rabies on the island. So sometimes rabies is a golden ticket. When a country is rabies endemic, there is one thing that nobody can disagree on, that only scientific approach can make a country rabies-free. And we have been involved with a lot of successes. You cannot dispute that there are not 10 ways to be rabies-free. There is only one way to be rabies-free, and you have to accept that. So we didn't have that in Mauritius. But then we asked them, so how do you know how many dogs you need to kill to overcome the problem? And they said, we don't know, which means they didn't know how big their problem was. So we asked them, should you kill 10 dogs a day? Should you kill 20 dogs a day? Should you kill 100 dogs a day? Should you kill 10,000 dogs a day? How would you know how many dogs you need to kill so that your problem is finished? And they had no answer. And then we asked them for the amount of money they were spending every year in culling. So they had created a government agency called MSAW, Mauritius Society for Animal Welfare, which kills dogs, which the Ministry of like Ministry of Agriculture in Israel is responsible for dogs. So the Ministry of Agro-Industry and Food in Mauritius is responsible for dogs. So they had a certain amount of fund allocated to dog control. So we told them, let us first tell you how big your problem is, which means we proposed to carry out a nationwide survey in Mauritius. Amit was in Mauritius. It was one of our first nationwide surveys. Mauritius is not small. It might be as large, if not larger than Israel. And to be able to do a survey, we wanted them to stop all culling, because when we do a survey, we require a stable dog population. Our survey is based on a sampling method. We can't walk every street and we can't count every dog. So what we do is like your election forecasts. We take a sample of people from different places, we call them up and we ask them, who do you think is winning, who do you vote for? So with dog